In today's video, I am going to be breaking down Andrew Wiggins and why he is such a very hard player, an impossible player to guard in the game. If you're looking to become hard and impossible to defend, this is definitely the video for you. Let's get down, let's check out Andrew Wiggins. Okay, so in this first clip, we have Andrew Wiggins attacking Grant towards the middle of the key, and he's able to go up for that floater. The first thing that I do notice is that he gets his shoulders below the shoulders of that defensive player. This is extremely important because it lowers your center of gravity and makes you quicker. If we were looking at this from a side angle, he is also angled at least 45 degrees, which will give him even more strength, power, and speed towards the basket. At this time, he then angles his body so that he can get his shoulder into the core or the midsection of the defender, and when he does that, he's able to then make that defender off balance, which then allows him to continue to attack the basket. When he then continues towards the basket, he then lands on his right foot first, and then he lands on his left foot and angles his body into the shoulder of that defender. This is extremely important because now he can take away that defender's ability to block his shot, and he's going up with two hands on the ball, which makes it very hard to block, and of course, there is that potential for a foul, which we see right there when he goes up with two hands, and he's able to get that foul call. Now this next clip, we see him going for a tip slam. This is absolutely amazing, and of course, to go for a tip slam, there are a few rules that you have to abide by. And that is, when you see that shot going up, well, guess what? There's a high probability, if the shot's being taken from this side, that it's going to bounce, if it misses, towards the opposite side from roughly the same angle. In, of course, some cases, it's a higher percentage for that to happen if you miss. And, of course, Andrew Wiggins knows this. He was able to cut basically backdoor. There was nobody really defending him and nobody boxing him out. Even Cat wasn't boxing anybody out. He was just looking at the ball. And anytime that you see a defender doing that, you need to really attack that basket to get that rebound, because if you've got players who are not boxing out, you definitely need to get to that rim to get that board, and that's what he does here. So here we have Andrew Wiggins using a screen, and then he notices what his defender did, and he's able to attack the basket and posterize that hedge man. So coming back to the screen, when Andrew Wiggins uses this screen, as soon as he notices that his man's going over top of that screen, he then has to curl in. There's three ways that you can use a screen. If the defender goes over, you need to attack the basket. If the defender goes underneath, you can pull back for a three, or you can reuse that screen, which I don't think you would be wanting to use along the baseline. And then there's also the chance that that defender could cut off the screen, in which case you would attack back. Now, when that defender, Josh Giddey, went over top of that screen, Andrew Wiggins attacked the basket, and because there was a wide open lane and this man wasn't hedging right away, because it's kind of hard to hedge when you're setting a screen over here, then Andrew Wiggins noticed that and he was able to posterize that player. See, the reason why that defender didn't hedge and didn't come up to stop him is because this man is rolling towards the basket, and that would just be a lob dunk for the center. However, of course, Andrew Wiggins is going to get that dunk anyways, and that's actually a very deadly area to set a screen and roll. For anyone who plays NBA 2K, this is basically 80% of my offense, trying to set screens in the corners. So here we have Steph Curry, who was basically cut off. He has the switch, so he's attacking back because obviously he's much faster than Nurkic. And when Steph Curry is attacking back, look at these defenders here. Andrew Wiggins is right there. He is reading the defense. It's called reading and reacting. It's basically if this, then that. If this defender is doing something, then you need to do that. And that one thing is to cut towards the basket, because if you've got a player driving baseline and you've got defenders here who are not paying attention to you, well, guess what? You can cut back door, and if you've got a player who is a very good passer, you can get yourself some open layups and dunks by just cutting back door where the defenders are not recognizing or even noticing you. Same thing applies up top. So here we have Green using or setting a screen for Steph Curry. Steph Curry gets Green as a rolling man, and guess what? There's three players right here who are really paying attention to what's happening over here. the player who's in the corner, Andrew Wiggins, now has the ability to cut to the rim, because if there's baseline defenders who are not paying attention to the corner man, they're paying attention to what's happening up here, the corner man needs to cut baseline. And when that happens, if you've got players who can recognize that you're cutting to the basket, you can get open dunks and layups quite easily, and that's what we've seen here. So there's a little bit of a brush screen that happens here, and Andrew Wiggins notices that, well, these two players don't really know who to guard because of that brush screen, and that's generally what they do. He's able to attack that basket, and he's able to attack that basket hard and finish with a layup. This is actually a really good move because he's got a lot of momentum going towards the basket. This defender's going in that direction. Well, guess what? If you can do a high gather and take a long big step or even a hop that we see here, that's the gather and the landing, and guess what? You can get to the basket quite easily. Think about it this way. He hasn't gathered that ball yet. He's in the air, and that's when he gathers that ball, which means that he hasn't taken any steps yet. So when he lands, that's the pivot foot. Now he can take 2 steps, because remember, you have to gather on a foot. If you're in the air, it's whatever foot that you land on is the gather, which means that you can take 2 more steps, and he actually only takes 1 step there to make it even cleaner. And then if you've got a player who's coming up to set a screen, and you can tell that your defender is kind of standing straight up, maybe potentially going to go over top of that screen and maybe cheat a little bit, you can cut back or cross back away from that screen, deny that screen, and guess what? If you can get your shoulder in front of your defender's shoulder when you're driving towards the rim, you're going to have the angle and you're going to be able to get to the rim, and that's what we have here. Again, same idea here, however, it's off ball, where there's Steph Curry and another player setting up a staggered screen for Andrew Wiggins. This is a very common play that the Warriors use. So sometimes defenders will cheat and they will actually move up to try to cut off that screen. It basically is what happened here. And Andrew Wiggins can even make it worse, because what we see in the corner, I'm not too sure if you're able to see in the corner of this edited video, is Andrew Wiggins actually faked like if he was about to cut and use those 2 screens, which made that defender move even farther over to deny those screens. And then Andrew Wiggins cut back door, which is wide open, and because Green is such a fantastic passer, he's able to get Wiggins that dunk. And guess what? Exactly where that ball was going is perfect. Right along, aiming for the bottom edge of that backboard, because that is the perfect area for alley-oops. I hope that this video has helped you become a better basketball player. If it has, hit that like button and subscribe. Good luck to Andrew Wiggins in the All-Star game, first time as a starter, and I'll see you guys again next time.